And Grammy-winning singer Chris Brown is facing serious legal trouble overseas.
Charged with grievous bodily harm with intent in connection with an alleged assault at a nightclub in London 2 years ago.
The singer did not enter a plea today, and he was remanded in custody until 13th of June.
Is this the scandal that finally brings Chris Brown's empire crashing down? After more than a decade of controversy, courtroom drama, and second chances, Chris Brown is once again making headlines, and not for his music. Just days ago, the R&B superstar was arrested in the UK on serious charges of grievous bodily harm. The alleged incident? Brutal. The timing, suspicious. The fallout, potentially career-ending. And today on Celebrity Juice, we're breaking down exactly what happened on that fateful night and what the future has in store for one of the most legendary artists of this generation. But what really happened that night in London? Why did a French producer accuse Brown of using a tequila bottle as a weapon? And how did this arrest almost derail the kickoff of Breezy's multi-million-dollar international tour? This story has everything: legal drama, celebrity allies rushing in, wild court rulings, and a shadow from Chris Brown's past that refuses to fade away. But this is just the beginning. It all allegedly started at an exclusive VIP party inside Tape London, one of the capital's trendiest nightclubs. The night? February 2023. The guest list? Private. But one name on that list would trigger a legal firestorm more than a year later. French music producer Abraham Diaw claims he was attending the party as part of Brown's entourage when things suddenly took a disturbing turn. According to Diaw, Chris Brown allegedly smashed a tequila bottle over his head without warning. And didn't stop there. In a report described by lawyers as graphic and traumatic, Diaw says he was repeatedly kicked and stomped on after hitting the floor, as other partygoers watched in horror. The alleged injuries? Devastating. Facial trauma, broken ribs, emotional distress, and possibly even neurological damage. Diaw says he blacked out during the attack and woke up disoriented and bleeding. For over a year, the incident stayed largely under the radar. But in 2024, Diaw filed a $16 million civil lawsuit in Los Angeles, accusing Brown of a vicious, unprovoked assault and launching what would become a full-scale legal battle. But here's where things get even more strange. For over a year, Chris Brown carried on as usual, touring, releasing music, and flooding social media with glimpses of his jet-set life. But behind the scenes, authorities in the UK were quietly building their case. Then in May 2025, everything changed. Brown landed in Manchester to kick off the highly anticipated Breezy Bowl XX Tour. But instead of walking into soundcheck, he was met by police. According to reports, authorities acted on a European warrant linked to the alleged 2023 nightclub assault. Chris Brown was immediately taken into custody. The charges? Grievous bodily harm, a serious felony under UK law, carrying the potential for long-term imprisonment. At his initial court appearance, the judge refused bail, citing both the severity of the accusations and Brown's international travel schedule as potential flight risks. For a moment, it looked like the entire tour would be canceled. Promoters panicked, fans were left in limbo, and insiders say Brown was visibly shaken, facing the real possibility of jail time before the first song of his tour even played. But then, a twist. After a tense 2-day legal standoff, the court granted bail, but the number raised eyebrows everywhere. Chris Brown was released under strict conditions and a £5 million bail, one of the highest amounts ever posted by a visiting celebrity in the UK. The message was clear: Brown could perform, but under watchful eyes. And his next hearing, already looming. But while Brown walked free, the damage to his tour and his reputation was already spreading like wildfire. The Breezy Bowl XX Tour wasn't just another tour, it was a full-blown spectacle, a celebration of 20 years in the music industry, planned to span across Europe with sold-out arenas, massive sponsorships, and a rumored Netflix-style behind-the-scenes documentary in the works. But when news of the arrest broke, everything started to crumble. Promoters began quietly reviewing exit clauses. Insurance firms reportedly froze coverage. Venues considered pulling out. And some UK tabloids even questioned whether the Home Office would revoke Brown's visa altogether. All of it over one night at a London club that spiraled into a multi-million-dollar legal nightmare. If the tour was cancelled, insiders say Brown stood to lose upwards of $30 million in ticket sales, merchandise, and streaming promotions. Not to mention potential lawsuits from sponsors, venues, and even fans. For a few tense days, the Breezy Bowl became a legal chessboard, with Brown's entire career as the grand prize. But then, against the odds, the court made a controversial decision. Brown would be allowed to continue performing for now. The judge approved the tour to go forward, but only under strict monitoring conditions, with court-mandated check-ins, limited travel freedoms, and a guarantee that Brown would return for all legal proceedings. So, yes, the tour survived. But the cloud hanging over it? Darker than ever. Because while fans filled arenas, backstage, lawyers were preparing for a battle that could outlast the final encore. And just when people thought things might settle down, the public response reignited everything. The second news of Brown's arrest hit social media, the backlash was immediate and brutal. Twitter lit up, TikTok exploded, and within hours, hashtags like #CancelChrisBrown and #BreezyBehindBars began trending worldwide. But not everyone turned their back. In a surprising twist, Justin Bieber, one of the industry's biggest stars and a longtime friend of Brown, posted a cryptic "Welcome Home, Brother" message the moment Brown was released. The caption was vague, but the implication was clear. Bieber was standing by him. That one post alone racked up over 8 million likes, instantly dividing fans into two camps: those defending Brown and those demanding accountability. Other artists stayed silent, but the whispers behind the scenes were loud. Some insiders claimed Brown was blacklisted from key festival lineups. Rumors swirled that certain labels were distancing themselves. Yet at the same time, Breezy's diehard fanbase doubled down, flooding his streaming numbers and buying out merch drops in solidarity. The media, predictably ruthless, headlines painted him as a repeat offender, a ticking time bomb, a star spiraling yet again. Talk shows and podcasts reignited the old debates. Can talent excuse trauma? Where do we draw the line between art and the artist? It was chaos, digital, personal, and deeply emotional. And through it all, Chris Brown stayed eerily silent. No apology, no denial, no official statement. Just cryptic Instagram stories and the occasional smirk at paparazzi lenses. But as the court of public opinion clashed with real-life legal consequences, one thing was undeniable. Brown's past was catching up fast, and not everyone was willing to forget. But what exactly is in that past? And why does it still haunt him nearly 2 decades later? Let's talk about that, because this story didn't start in London. It started long before. To understand the outrage, you have to rewind. Way back to 2009, the night of the Grammy Awards. The night Chris Brown, then just 19, brutally assaulted his girlfriend Rihanna. The images were unforgettable. The mugshot, the bruises, the silence. It was the scandal that nearly ended his career overnight. But it didn't. Brown pleaded guilty to felony assault and served 5 years of probation. And while some fans forgave, the world never truly forgot. Over the years, he tried to repair his image, releasing chart-topping albums, collaborating with industry giants, and reinventing himself as an unstoppable performer. But the problems never stopped. He was banned from the UK in 2010, only recently allowed back. He faced accusations of violent behavior, restraining orders, drug-related issues, and multiple lawsuits. One woman accused him of holding her against her will in his home. Another claimed she was assaulted at a house party. Time and time again, Brown dodged convictions, but never controversy. Each incident left a crack. And together, those cracks formed a mirror, one that reflected a public image steeped in talent, trauma, and temper. For every fan screaming his name in the front row, there was another asking why he was still on stage at all. Now, with this London arrest, the conversation has erupted all over again. Is this just another accusation? Or the sign of something deeper, something unresolved? Because at this point, Chris Brown isn't just fighting the law, he's fighting his legacy. And what happens next could rewrite it forever. Let's talk consequences. And trust me, it gets even crazier. If Chris Brown is convicted of grievous bodily harm under UK law, he could face up to 5 years in prison. Possibly more if the court deems the assault aggravated due to intent or the use of a weapon. That tequila bottle? If proven to be the instrument of injury, it shifts the entire case from a bar fight to a potentially premeditated assault. Even without a conviction, the civil lawsuit in the US is still alive, and Abraham Diaw is demanding $16 million in damages. That lawsuit alone could force Brown to settle quietly, just to avoid more headlines and legal chaos. But here's the twist. If he settles, many will assume guilt. And if he fights it, more details will go public. Either way, it's a lose-lose. But the legal ramifications aren't even the biggest threat. The real danger? His reputation. Corporate sponsors are already nervous. Streaming platforms are watching closely. One more conviction, or even one more explosive headline, and Brown could be quietly blacklisted from major playlists, brand deals, and high-profile performances. And let's not forget the international visa situation. With past convictions and now fresh charges, several countries may refuse him entry altogether, cutting off entire regions of fans and revenue. Speculation is swirling that this case could be the tipping point, the moment where even the industry insiders who once protected him start walking away. But it also raises a much bigger question, one that stretches far beyond just Chris Brown. Why do we keep allowing celebrities to rebound from behavior that would destroy anyone else's life? Is it fame? Is it power? Or is it the illusion of talent being bigger than truth? Whatever happens next, one thing is certain. The world is watching, and not everyone is rooting for a comeback. But before we wrap, there's one final question we all need to face. Chris Brown has survived career-ending moments before. Scandals, lawsuits, public outrage, all of it. But this time feels different. Not just because of the severity of the charges, but because the world has changed. The court system may take months, even years, to reach a verdict. But in the court of public opinion, the jury's always watching. And this case is already reshaping the way we talk about fame, forgiveness, and how far someone can fall before there's no coming back. Will Chris Brown walk away from this unscathed? Or is this the beginning of a very public unraveling? One performance, one hearing, one headline at a time. You decide. Let us know what you think in the comments. Should Chris Brown still be on stage? Or should the industry finally shut the door? This is Celebrity Juice. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss a twist.